Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
This is Orlando, and we're on episode 185, and this is a live episode.
That's right. I love live episodes
on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's and this is how not frantic, but like we came in and like we're like trying to send out an informational like story that we're going live, and like I'm trying to like hit us to go live, like. So this is all like super organic, which we always are, but we're really excited for this.
It's been an interesting day. I mean, if you notice, usually we have like another post on Instagram by now, but I've been busy. Mike's been busy. Hey, appreciate everybody who's here. If you're listening to the podcast, we are going live, and so we're going to be doing some Q&A. Let's see who's in the feed real quick right now. We have Marion Quinn. Hey, how's it going? Greg Stewart from Colorado. What's going on? Rocky Mountain Resellers. Anaheim Buy Sell Trade. How are you? Try Flippers. Melissa. Oh, Plates. McDonald's Millionaire, what's going on? And see who else? Blackberry Thistle T, always here with us. K-Way Shop, what's going on? Wayne, how are you? Larry Sanchez, hey, appreciate all of you on the comment feed and just being here watching us live, because you know you could be doing things a little better than, I don't know. Is there something better than watching our podcast right now?
We don't want to say that. That's terrible marketing.
It is. Hey, but we keep it real.
We got Blackberry Thistle T saying super organic is fresh. Yeah, we should just say fresh. We're not organic. We're just fresh.
Be real, be relevant, be fresh.
Well, we got to be reselling.
That is true. That is true. We don't drop that line. Hey, so we're doing an update episode, which is kind of crazy. I think about like how often can you do an update episode in a week? Because we just had one on Wednesday.
Yeah, every day.
Do you think we could do one every day?
Maybe not. I don't know. It'd be really boring. Maybe they wouldn't be hour and a half long episodes if we did them every day.
I've contemplated doing 365 days of reselling starting January 1. Like dropping a YouTube like every single day for 365 days.
Yeah, that's such a big commitment though, because then you miss one and then it's like total failure. You know, I feel like it's a really high bar to set, but you know, that's the kind of stuff. That's how you 10x, right? That's how you.
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know, except for the days where like nothing happens. So, hey, thank you all for joining. So we got a lot to talk about today, which is kind of interesting because you wouldn't think like reselling, like you would think things would be like kind of steady from Wednesday and it's Sunday, but there's been some changes. So hey, somebody has a quick question about the fires. Thank you, Anaheim Buy Sell Trade. Yeah, if you have questions, let us know on the feed. So how are things here?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I was super impressed with the first responders out here. I've lived in California my whole life, and I lived in the desert before this, and so fires are just like a normal part of life in some ways, but I've never seen such just an all-out assault on the fires. Like we had so many departments. We had the Navy brought in helicopters. We had so many different agencies brought in helicopters. It was like an aerial assault on top of the firefighters who were working tirelessly. Yeah, so I'm really impressed with just the way all these different agencies and departments came together. They took it seriously, and we are all safe. I mean, there were unfortunately people who lost property, but I don't think anybody lost their life. And so, you know, it's one of those things where it could have been much worse. So we're happy to be through with that, and hopefully fire season isn't too bad for us out here in California. And I know some of you resellers are, you know, maybe East Coast and you're dealing with the hurricanes right now, and you know, it's devastating when that kind of stuff comes. But you know, we're in some ways, if you live in those areas, you're kind of just used to it, and you just keep hustling and moving through.
Yeah, except the air quality, it's kind of interesting. I've never lived my entire life where I had to like look at the air quality and go, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go hiking today. That's kind of a weird one for me. So all right, but hey, we're not here to talk about the weather. So I know some questions about Q4, so we'll talk about Q4 in a little bit, because actually there is one of our reseller topics that deals with Q4. But how things been?
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. I'm actually kind of excited because there are going to be some super fresh updates on this episode.
Is fresh the word of the podcast?
This is a fresh podcast,
okay.
So we're 185 fresh.
All right.
So one of the cool things is my auction listings are going to be ending during this live, and so we'll see live as they come in. Are any of these things going to sell? I already have one. I only listed 5 items just to kind of test out the water, see how things went. And one of them already has a bid, so we'll see how that goes, you know. So at least one item is going to sell, but hopefully that price goes up and some of those other things get those last minute bids. So we will know live on air what's selling through our auction experiment. And at least one of the items, a big item I wanted to go, has a bid. So I think I'm going to continue. I think next week I'll jump from 5 to 10 and just keep this going. And unless it gets out of control and it's just wasting time, but I think if I can get rid of some of the bigger things in my inventory, it'll be nice.
All right. So I am anti-auction if you didn't hear our last
Mm-hmm.
podcast, because 1 out of 101 items. Again, I will, to be fair, I may be listed too high. So hey, want to thank Frank Zaragoza for the super chat, $10. He said, "You don't say buttons anymore." No, buttons.
Yeah, he says you've been cured. That's right. You know,
I've
sometimes-
learned how to say so many words as a result of this podcast correctly.
and that's the thing too. Communication in any way, like speaking in front of students, they'll call you out if you say something too much. Like if you're saying like too much,
Well, actually,
they
people
might
on the
call you out.
podcast will too.
Well, no, for sure. And so
I think heinous. Heinous was the big word
Ooh,
2 podcasts ago, where somebody counted that we said heinous like 100 times.
Yeah, and I might have even said heinous, which isn't something I say very often. But you know, when you're talking, you run out of things to say. There's only so many words.
Somebody's asking about the diet dew. It's here. It's here. I'm trying to keep my energy flowing this morning. So this evening, whatever you want to call it. Hey, Melissa, had a question about my inventory. So I'll talk about that as far as part of my update. So my inventory is pretty organized. It already was organized. I just had some issues where, things were just misplaced. And here's the thing, I'm listing faster than I'm organizing. And you're wondering, how does that happen? So the way that it happens is, maybe I think my processes are not where they need to be. I'm looking at these super chats. Okay.
Woo.
All right. Camila Fines, hey, thanks so much. Man, I appreciate our West Coast people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for all the content, book reviews, and bolos.
Yeah, book reviews. And I'm glad you guys are liking the book reviews, because that was one of those things we weren't sure about. And I think if you can pull 1 or 2 nuggets from each book and it impacts your life, it impacts your reselling, it is definitely worth it. So if you haven't listened to those yet, check it out. Listen to the book reviews. They're pretty good.
And I appreciate Familia Fines and I have kind of a common background, so we're able to share a lot of stories. So that's what I love. I've had the privilege of meeting so many people online that I would call, they're my online friends, right? Mm-hmm. But hopefully in real life, when we have meetup, we can meet up with people. But it's just been great. So appreciate all you guys tuning in and DMing us and even hitting that like button in our live right now. Well, we got a lot of people. Okay, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm sorry. There's just a lot of nice comments and the super chats coming through. Nashville Flippers, hey, what's going on? We got to have you guys on the podcast here soon. So what's the over-under for how many times Orlando interrupts Mike?
Yeah, I think 10's a good over-under. So let us know on the chat, over-under.
Oh, my goodness. All right, yes, let's misplay. So here's the thing. I list, so for instance, shoes. Like I'll list, 30 to 40 shoes. And then after, I'll put them in my inventory, and then I'll put the custom SKU label. The problem is some of those shoes sell before I ever get to that place, because what's happening right now is I'm trying to source for Q4. And so I'm like, I'm just going to throw all these in an IKEA bag, shove it in the storage unit, and then off sourcing I go. And then a week hits, 2 weeks hits. And then I have a problem, because I'm like, is that shoe in one of the bins, or is it one of those freshly new shoes that I just listed? And so it becomes an issue.
So you're saying when you do your listing, you don't do the custom SKU then?
No, because all my stuff is stored in a storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what I do is I try to find bins that are kind of halfway empty or 3/4 empty, and then I fill up those bins and I put the custom SKU labels. Now, I think there's something better I can do. I just haven't taken the time to sit down and figure it out. So I've been sourcing for Q4. I'm going all in. I do that every Q4, but more than I have before, because in previous years, I usually would wait until October to really start sourcing. And now in September, I'm sourcing earlier. And I'll explain a little bit why in Reseller Topics. But the reason being is all the data from different companies and measuring, shopping behavior is saying that Q4 is actually going to start earlier, or at least a major buying that happens in Q4. So last year and the year before and the year before that, and usually it's the first 2 weeks of December where everything just goes crazy. Now, you have some activity in November, but it's not till those 2 weeks. Everyone is saying now, as a result of, Walmart and Target and all these stores not opening on Thanksgiving for Black Friday, and there not being, the ability to stampede into a store with a bunch of people because of COVID, that people are going to start buying earlier. And so as a result of that, I'm going to source earlier so I can send stuff out earlier and hopefully have sales earlier. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And do you think that Q4 is going to be popping in other parts of the country or parts of the world? Because Purple Rube here says it's not too late. International first class.
Oh, I like that smooth transition.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate it. Maybe I should just wait. Like I'm waiting for Purple Rube to just bring in a little bit more into the super chat before I go international first class. So.
That's crazy because you'd be making enough more on the internet, and I can't talk because I don't do it either. Not because I'm against doing it. It's just I'm lazy and I just haven't turned that on yet.
But John, I will say I appreciate the fact that you're consistently encouraging me to, and this is encouraging. $9.99 to get me to consider first class international. I'll take it, John. So thank you so much for Rube. Hey, also one more thing I wanted to talk about was, so I recognized in my listing that my goals were too big. So early in the summer, I'm like, I'm going to hit 3,000 listings on eBay. Well, that'd be great if things were slow, right? When things are slow, you can get those numbers up. Those of you that have experienced slow seasons on eBay, it's pretty easy to get your number of listings up. But when things are fire and you're constantly selling, it is tough to do that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for 2,500, right? And I'm getting there. I'm at 2,260-ish, but stuff keeps selling. But my goal is, I want to say by mid-October to be at 2,500 listings. I think that's my happy place. And then hopefully, by the end of January, I'll be at 3K. It's just stuff keeps selling, and I can't complain about that.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. So we have Chris Gatwood is super chat, and he says he's on the over. So nice. We've got at least one on over here. Yeah, so I'm even thinking about
Chris.
I'm even thinking about Q4. So there's one right there. No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't really that bad. So I'm thinking about Q4 for me because I've never done Amazon. I still haven't jumped onto the Amazon, and I am considering. I've talked about doing it a million times, so I don't want to sound like the person who's always saying I'm going to. I'm not committing to doing it.
Somebody should send a massive super chat to Mike to do it. I'm
do
just
Amazon.
Joking. No, I'm joking.
So, but I have done like the retail arbitrage for eBay, and every year it does okay. It's never been so great that I would look at it as that much more than other times of the year. What I do find is stuff that I have in my inventory already are things that I've picked that might be Christmas-like gifts that people are picking up and buying. So my sales definitely go up Q4, even if it's not retail arbitrage. But I'm actually kind of thinking of doing like a challenge of how much can I do retail arbitrage just to eBay, right? Like buying items, going crazy and see what kind of items I get. Maybe I'll make a couple of videos that I'll release the items after Q4 is over, because I obviously don't want to tank any items or tank any the market.
Oh, come on. We'll just set up our own Bolo group and no, just joking.
Yeah, so no Bolo group here, but it might be kind of cool to see, all right, what could I have gotten based off of the information? Because the nice thing with Amazon, and Orlando has all of the tracking information and the different programs that you can do for that. But how much could I have made had I sent this into Amazon versus eBay doing it myself? And is the money still there? Because maybe if you've got the room, if you're going to be doing something like Amazon instead of FBA, you're doing merchant fulfilled anyways, maybe there's just as much profit on the eBay side. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe me and you both will pick up the same item, same quantity of an item, and see what the total net profit is.
Okay, but I want to challenge you to do Amazon, but you don't have to do FBA. Do merchant fulfilled, right? So if you're picking up stuff for eBay, might as well list it on Amazon for merchant fulfilled. It's the same thing, just a different platform.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous though to me to think that, because Amazon, the whole idea of Amazon is things sell quickly, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the idea. But if something sells on eBay, I mean, I've got to instantly. I mean, there's a problem you always have with cross posting. But if something sells on eBay and then all of a sudden it sells on Amazon too, before I get on there and take that listing off,
then you cancel the eBay.
Yeah, but eBay's my bread and butter though. Like that's where all my money comes from. I don't want to have some bad reviews there.
I don't know. I'm saying, right? Let me know in the chat. Like MF is exactly like eBay. And here's the thing, with Amazon, yeah, it's going to be a faster velocity. So chances are that item's going to sell faster on Amazon than it does on eBay. For example, right now, did you hear that little sound ding? Mm-hmm. That was the Amazon merchant fulfilled. See, I have a merchant fulfilled sale right there. And this item I have listed both on eBay and on Amazon. And on Amazon, I remember last week I had something that I listed for like a month. I listed on eBay because it was a super low rank. Within 24 hours, it sold. Right? So I strongly encourage Mike to at least do merchant fulfilled. FBA, that's a whole different beast. But MF is just the same as eBay. Now, you do got to be careful because they can suspend your account really quick if you cancel stuff, you don't send stuff in on time. But I think it just makes you a better seller.
But I mean, maybe to me, because when I buy on Amazon, I almost never buy merchant fulfilled unless it's still Prime, right? And I'm not going to have the Prime sticker on there. So
You'll just have to have the lowest price. But if the velocity of the item is so fast, like it's selling so much, like it's under 1,000 rank, like it's not going to matter if you don't have Prime, right? As long as you have the lowest price. Now, there's buy box issues and all that, but you can still sell. I mean, there's certain items. Last year, I remember on Black Friday, last year there was some kind of building set. I don't want to say too much in case it drops again, but a certain store had it at 50% off, and so a lot of people sent to FBA. A lot of people did MF. That item, you literally in the store, you could list it in the store, and by the time you're like 3 hours over, it was ranked like 54. It instantly sold. Right, so you can make it happen. So let me know in the chat, what are your thoughts? I did like a comment here. Allison from Big_Drift or Big Thrift Drift. I said pirate ship feels almost as good as a thermal printer. Hey, by the way, though, you have a thermal printer now, so I didn't know that I was the only one that was holding back. So Allison, welcome to this. It's interesting that I'm saying this. Welcome to the thermal printer club. So it's been nice. So I know some people in here are saying they don't think they'll ever do Amazon. I get it. I understand. But you're missing out on money. You're missing out on a lot of money. Even today, I had 5 sales. I'm just testing the market on stuff, and I knew because the ranking was 2,000 or low that it would sell in 24 hours, and it was. These were actually clearance items that I found, and I'll share those with you, Mike, after this. But it sold pretty quick. So. Anyways, all right. So I think we belabored the point, but I just want to encourage Mike. Like, I understand. And here's the thing. Here's a problem I think that Mike has had. He's seen me fail a lot on Amazon, right? Because I'm very big about talking about my failures. I don't talk about successes very much because I don't like to be braggadocious about stuff. Is that a word, braggadocious? And so, and you know me, how much do I ever post numbers of Amazon on Instagram? I don't, just because I don't think it's fair. Just because it gives people a false impression. So somebody's saying fulfilled by merchant, not MF. No, it is MF. It's merchant fulfilled. Now, you could say fulfilled by merchant. There's actually also SF, seller fulfilled. So thank you, Blackberry Thistle Tea. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of
Amazon can be an MF, and I'm just joking. I'm not going to go there. Just it's merchant fulfilled. Merchant fulfilled.
FBM.
All right.
It sounds better, maybe.
All right. So that is our update for now. So you got any random stories?
I mean, not really a random story, but it's kind of cool because still going through all the stuff that I picked up on my trip and got my I know. And last week or last time we recorded, you notice I'd finally gotten all my weights in here, and I had originally listed all of my weights as like one set, and I knew that was probably a bad idea, but I was trying to get rid of them quickly while I was actually on my trip. So I just listed them as one lot, and I had several people while I was even on the trip reach out and say, well, what if you just sell me these 2 plates? And I wasn't willing to break up the set at that point, because the amount of money I would have made to ruin some of my vacation for $60, right? It just wasn't worth it. I wanted it all to go. So I finally took pictures of the individual, like I lotted them together, like, okay, sets of 25s, 4 plates of 10-pound weights, things like that for the weight sets that I got. And I'm starting to get a lot more hits on offer up for those plates, which is awesome. And I talked to Orlando and I was like, man, I've still got these. And he's like, you should sell them on eBay. And I was like, no, I don't want to deal with that. I know I'll make more money locally. It's cash. I don't have to deal with the fees. I don't have to deal with shipping. And I just sold 4 plates, 4 10-pound plates that I looked at the sticker, how much I paid for them. And I think I paid $5.99 for these 4 plates. And I sold them for $90 cash. And it was interesting because I had a lot of people reach out and everybody was lowballing me. And I just won't, right? I feel like I've learned enough about negotiations, and I can bring them up a little bit and meet them towards the middle, but I don't list super high. I list what I think I can actually get for it, or maybe a little bit above that, so that there's a little bit of wiggle room. So I'll come down a little bit. And I had a lot of people, they just tried to lowball me. They kind of tried to tell me like, you'll never sell it for that. And okay,
they actually messaged you that?
Yeah. Like, well, I'll pay you this much. If you change your mind, they give me like the little like hang loose sign, like good luck or whatever. And so I just ignore them. And finally I had somebody, didn't even try to lower or haggle at all. They just said, are these available? And I,
that
yes,
question.
right? Yes, they're available. Okay, when can I come and get them? And I'm like, anytime. all right, I'm on my way. I was like, sweet, right? So I met the guy. He maybe said one word to me, which was, put him here, right? And that was it. Like, it was kind of a rude transaction.
As in one word too. Put them here.
Yep. Yeah, just put it here. Like, that's all he said. Like, there wasn't like a, hey, how's it going? Yeah, can I look at them? Yeah, these are cool. Been looking for these. Like, normally when you do local pickup, there's a little bit of small chat, which I kind of dislike a lot because I'm not a huge small chat person. But this transaction felt very rude, maybe, but I didn't care because he handed me $90 and he was like, peace. Yep. And drove off. And I still have a bunch of plates left. And so it's exciting to know that I've already paid for all of the plates that I bought plus some. I've already doubled my money on it, and I got a ton of weight left, and I'd be okay if the rest of my transactions are that way and I don't have to small chat or haggle with people. So there we go.
You don't like small talk.
Yeah, like
so if you see in public, try to small talk Mike. Just do it.
I mean, if I run into somebody, it's like, hey, how's it going? That's fine. Like if it's a listener or a friend, I that's perfectly fine to me. But what bugs me is like when I'm at a cash register, and it's like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good. I go to pay, and then they start talking to me about stuff like, oh, you got some chips here, you having a party, and oh yeah, is it for the game? You watch football?
I don't think there's a lot of people that like that those kind of conversations. Like,
I'm just like, look, I just want to buy my food that's on. I don't want to like explain to you like what I'm gonna do with this food. Like, I'm gonna go home and open this up and eat it on my couch alone, watching TV. You know, what does it matter what I'm gonna do with my chips, right? Like,
just tell a crazy story. Just come up with some crazy stories.
Some random thing about, I don't know, flying to some country. And
I want to share a random story, but it's not reseller related.
Well, I mean,
I think this is gonna hurt my rep. So hey, before we do that though, Ayana Reseller has a great tip on there. She said, Mike, do a replenishable item on Amazon and eBay. So if it sells on one platform, you still have items left and don't have to cancel on the other platforms. Yeah, and that's something I was gonna suggest to you. But like this item I have right now, I have multiples of, so I don't have to worry if I run out. So great tip. So kind of I got pulled over one time when I was in college. This is not reseller related, but this is why you come on the live, right? A little bit of comedy here. So you know me.
Well, we got to let them tell us whether it's comedy.
Well, I think it's funny. I think you guys will find it funny. So I'm a bigger dude, right? So bigger dudes, you usually get certain kind of jokes thrown our way. And so it was late at night. I was really hungry, so I stopped in at a gas station, right? And I got a bag of Funyuns. And I love Funyuns, but the problem with Funyuns, like if you wear a black shirt, like or you have a goatee, like black Funyuns isn't like friendly to you, right? So I'm driving, I'm like speeding down the highway, and then I get pulled over. The cops come my way. I'm like, wiping down my shirt, like making sure I look presentable for the police officer. And then the guy tried to small talk me. He shines a flashlight, and you know how that light obviously illuminated the Funyun crumbs everywhere on my black shirt. And he goes, "My, aren't we hungry tonight?"
Ooh.
I still laugh because I'm like, that dude, he didn't give me a ticket. So I think he just felt bad for me. So that was the first time that eating Funyuns and making a mess worked out. So anyways, that didn't add any value to anybody here in the chat, but I thought it was a story that some people would think it's funny. So
it's pretty funny.
Because even to this day, my buddies from college always, like when I'm eating, they're like, "My, aren't we hungry?"
Are we hungry today? So, I love that. That's great.
All right. Hey, thank you. Hey, Dead Maverick gave us a super stick. What are those?
I don't know, but it's cool. I'll take the sticker.
Is that Canada like money?
I think so. Are you one of our Canadian?
I feel like I should know. He's been listening to us since day one. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker. Yes, appreciate that. So, all right. Anyways, hey, that was not the random reselling story I intended to share today. But here's what I did want to share. So, I don't know what's going on lately, but I am finding that a lot of people, when they do returns, they're shipping everything to me first class, and it shouldn't be first. Big trips of white powder for the win. Luckily, it wasn't down that road. That'd been a whole different story. And so I'm getting these packages now. One time it was crazy. Somebody, and I'm kind of bothered by it. So I had sold a pair of Lucchese boots that were $350, and it got returned to me. And they sent it first class to me. And when I got it, I was like, what are these people thinking? And this was like a very wealthy individual that owns like a huge line of cowboy boots. I think they're like the designer, and I think what they did is they bought the boots to kind of take some of the design and make their own boots out of that design, and then they sent it back to me. But anyways, what ended up happening was it was first class. The post office didn't say anything. I've had a bunch of other first class, and I shared some of this on the Instagram story, but I wanted to share more here because I couldn't share the whole details unless I made it a story on IG, and I didn't want to. I didn't think it was a great story for IG. So I go to the post office. New Funyuns merch coming to. That's another tagline for our shirts. Yeah. Why aren't we hungry? And only if you listen to the podcast will you know what that's about. All right. Hey, so back to the first class mail. So I get this, you get those stickers on your door, like, when you're not there. And so I eventually was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the post office, see what this is about. So it was a returned item. And on the box, it had written, whoever needs to pay the 11 something overage on this package, because they used my medium flat rate box that I shipped the boots in. These were Merrell hiking boots. They sent them back to me in a first class label. So I was talking to the post office lady, and by the way, always establish a great relationship with your post office people, right? You never know when it's going to help. And I'm not saying do it to just get an advantage. Just be friendly to be friendly. It's a good thing. And so I'm talking. I'm like, taking
small chat them.
I do
get some small talk.
I am. Listen, but that's what I do. That's what I do. And so I'm talking with her, and I'm getting my credit card out. I'm like, well, I guess I got to pay. It's really unfortunate that people do this. I'm just like, I already have to. I have to refund her the money. Now I have to pay for the shipping, even though I wasn't going to have to pay for shipping because it didn't fit, right? And so my policy is, if it doesn't fit, I'm not going to, give you back your money on shipping. And so she goes, no, wait, let me look. And she's like, no, I don't think you have to pay because this is done through Pitney Bowes. And what ends up happening is eBay and the post office, they battle. Now, have you ever gotten those emails like you pay too much and they've credited you like $1 or something?
I don't know. Maybe if I have, my wife would know. She does that tech part of the behind the scenes.
So sometimes, like for instance, I'll sell a hat and I think it's going to be 12 ounces and I print the label right away just to trigger that algorithm, but I don't have the hat actually packed. And it might have been, I might have said 12 ounces, but it was actually, let's say 10 ounces. So when that happens, I'll get an email from eBay saying, due to, mismeasurement with the post office, we won this case for you and we're crediting you $1 or something, right? So you get your money back. So I guess this is the reverse. So the reverse with the discrepancy ends up being charged to your account later on. Okay, if that makes sense. So what ends up happening, that 11 something that I was going to pay right there, she told me not to pay because you will be double paying, because eventually Pitney Bowes through eBay is going to get their money for you. So just something to think about. If you get a return as a first class package and it should have been priority and it says that you have to pay, talk to the individual at the post office and let them know, hey, by the way, I think this is going to be handled between eBay and the company. So I don't know if I have to pay, and maybe I don't think you'll get out of it. I think eventually you'll pay, but you don't want to be double paying because it's really hard to get that money back.
Yeah, that's true. And I do remember Nashville Flippers here said my wife is the real MVP. I 100% agree. I don't know how I got so lucky to get her. She's definitely the MVP. But I do remember we were going through UPS kind of through like a third party for a while and getting kind of discounts through that. And we were doing the shipments, and I guess the measurements weren't like 100% spot on every time. And so over the course of like 6 months, we ended up getting like a bill for like $38 or something like that. And it was the overage that they had been racking up of our account of how many items were, maybe we put a little bit, they didn't weigh quite as much, or we estimated the height and length or whatever. It was maybe an oblong shaped and they added an extra inch once they got it and measured it. So we had this bill. And so we called UPS and we said, hey, like, what's going on here? And they said, oh, well, these measurements weren't right. And then so they actually just waived it. They like said, that's fine. You don't have to pay it this time. Just in the future, make sure. And so we always kind of overestimate things. But it's funny that when we overestimate things a little bit through that, we never got the, hey, you overpaid. So they were definitely fine coming after us for underpaying, but they never came back weird. And like said like, hey, just to let you know, you put 11 inches for length. But it's really only 10, I know it's a little awkward, but like we didn't measure the whole 11 inches, like of that part that was sticking out. So we never get money back for overestimating, but we definitely got charged, even though they waived it, which we're very grateful for.
You said this is UPS?
UPS.
Oh, yeah. No, UPS and FedEx will definitely come after you. And we'll talk about that in a little bit because that's one of the reseller topics today. Yeah. So you got to be careful. Post office, I mean, it's so somebody actually had posted, and you got to be careful with sharing social media, but on one of the posts they said, oh yeah, I've been getting away for the last 2 years, sending out 2 to 3 pound items as first class. I'm like, do you understand there's like a whole fraud division of the post office? Like, probably don't want to post that on social media. So anyways, just that's a short note, just to be careful. Hey, thank you all of you, close to 50 people watching this on the live. Appreciate all of you that have showed up recently. Ken Dingle, how are you? Clay's Closet, I saw Moonlight Moolah in the house here. Aaron, how are you? Had this person called Heather Daniels here.
Yeah.
So she has hard eyes for you. So just thought I'd throw that out there. So, all right, in case you're wondering who that is, the MVP. Yeah, somebody said, don't rat on yourself on IG. Yes, listen, you have no idea. It's kind of like one time somebody on eBay, I was like, here, there we go. Wayne would know. Wayne says, here comes a postal inspector. Yeah. So
do they is that like a formal division where they come, like they've got a special uniform they wear?
They're
and they come
armed,
to your
man.
house
They don't
and
play
knock on your-
games. Like they're like they're serious.
One of my wife's cousins works for the FBI in the mailing fraud department. Like that is what they do, through mail crimes. And so yeah, that's I can imagine that the post office, being a federal agency, also has their own division for sure.
Wow, another super chat from Dead Maverick. I am telling you,
keep the level up reviews coming, man. We will. Let us know what you think next. So our next book that we're going to be doing is the How to Win Friends and Influence People
by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, so that's obviously a classic. It's a lot of people talk about it, and so we're excited to do that one. But if you guys have other suggestions, I mean, we've done a lot of kind of the professional or self-development type books. We've done the finance books, personal finance and business type finance. But if you've got other suggestions, I mean, I've tossed around, do we want to do something literature based? Do we want to do the art of war or something like that, and talk about how do these themes in this, connect to, reselling or that type of stuff. So yeah, let us know what you think would be a good book for us to do, or a good genre of books for us to do. And we'd love to include that
feedback.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Mike and I always go back and forth, should we keep doing these? But the feedback keeps getting better. So appreciate it. And we learn a lot when we do them. So we're grateful. Frank's back. Frank Zaragoza says, guys, in regard to reselling, what is the end game for you both?
That's a good question.
What's the end game for you, Mike?
That's something I've thought about a lot. I mean, obviously I started reselling just thinking, a little bit of extra money here and there. And it has turned into something where my wife now gets to stay home with our son. And, it's totally changed our life as far as that goes. I don't know, I've more and more, especially after this whole COVID situation, and I was blessed for a while to be able to work from home. I'm still working from home, but it's a lot more work than it was those first few months. And just the amount of family time was amazing. And so for me, I don't know. I love the idea of being able to sustain and potentially go full time. I don't know if I love the idea of the risk that would be involved in that, especially because I've got this pretty steady career. And
you love what you do.
I do. I love what I do. But I don't think reselling is ever going to go away. I think I'm going to keep it. I think eBay is always going to be a huge money generator for us. I think it's helping us pay off student loans. It's helping us get ahead. And it's my wife is moving more and more as she's doing this, and I'm still doing a lot of the sourcing and some of the packing and a lot of that stuff. But as it becomes more of an actual full-time income for her, a replacement of the income she had, and not just what we need to cover our expenses, I don't know. I think we might start to see, okay, is it worthwhile doubling up on this and really putting in more? I don't know if I'll ever do it full-time, but I don't think I'll ever not resell.
It's a tough question for me. I don't see myself ever stopping. I mean, it's my 3rd year full-time reselling. And I know it sounds terrible. No, it doesn't sound terrible. It's just, I hate sounding like I'm bragging, but I keep getting better at it. So as long as I'm getting better at it, I don't want to stop, right? I'm understanding how to do Amazon better. I'm understanding eBay better, cross-posting better, networking more. It's becoming easier for me. So now, am I still hustling? Am I still grinding a lot? I definitely am. But the problem is, I want to get to a place where it's I want to have multiple streams, right? So we already have reselling, right? I already have, I'm doing some stock market stuff. I'm teaching on the side. I teach a homeschool co-op. I also have other sources of income. So, and we got the podcast, and we have YouTube, and we have all these different things. And so for me, I'm not. I have my 5-year goal. I'm on year 3. My 5-year goal, right? At 5 years, I'll figure out what I want to do. The next step in this for me right now is to move into a bigger space. I'm not looking forward to ever getting a warehouse. I don't want a warehouse, but I would love a warehouse type property that I can have next to my new home whenever I get to that place. So actually, I've been looking at property recently, and I found this beautiful property that's nearby. I mean, it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It had a granny flat, and I'm like thinking, hey, that granny flat could be like operation, like reselling, and I could have a separate key for helpers to come in and take care of stuff, and I would have a warehouse. And actually, it's a huge kind of, it's like the size of a warehouse, even a pretty big storage space right next to it. And I was like, I would love to be here, but I'm waiting for real estate to kind of dip a little bit more, which isn't happening right now. The problem we're having in San Diego is there's not enough inventory.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is with real estate right now is the interest rates are just the lowest they've ever been. And the nice thing, though, is it looks like it's going to stay that way. In the past, we've had low interest rates for a short period of time to try and fix economic problems. And then that ends up only hurting the problem more because then they have to raise interest rates and all of these things going on with the Federal Reserve and what they're trying to do with money coming in versus money going out. But right now, it looks like the interest rates are going to stay low, probably, at least from what I'm hearing.
They're saying 2020, like 2022,
more than that. Like and again, this is I have no idea. I'm not a real estate mogul, but a lot of people are suggesting that it could be the next 4 to 5 years. The interest rates could remain as low as they are right now. So now is not a bad time to purchase a home or to refinance if you can get a house that's at the right value. And that's really the key. Is a lot of times it goes the same way. We talk a little bit sometimes in our podcast about investing in the stock market. And I'm really big on this idea of value investing. And that's never pay more than something's worth, right? We do that with reselling, right? You buy something. I know I could sell this item. This item consistently sells for $100. I'll buy it for $25. I'm never going to buy it for $150 thinking, well, occasionally this might be able to sell for, it might go up in value. I'm going to buy it under what it's actually valued at. What can I actually get for it? And the same thing with houses. If you can buy a house and it's valued, not the ups and downs of the market, but you could say like, this is actually like what I think this house is worth to me. And it's a good value, then do it, especially if the interest rates are low. But don't buy a $500,000 house because the interest rates are low if you can't afford the payments, or if it's not really a $500,000 house because, once the markets kind of level out or if things go down, now it's really only worth $250,000.
Oh no, I had friends that did the variable rates back in 2008.
Brutal.
And it tripled their payments. So yeah, I get that. So, and I love it because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about move out of state. So I would love to, trust me. I mean, there's a lot of reasons I stay in California. I understand that. I mean, hearing Joe Rogan, like, get out to Texas. I'm hearing other influencers, people that have money talking about we're getting out of Cali.
People are going to Texas or Tennessee or other places, right? People are moving, and so, I definitely, Heather and I, that's another thing we've talked a lot about is, do we want to consider another state? What would that look like? Because California, San Diego, we have the beauty of yard sales year round, but our houses cost 10 times more than they would somewhere else, right? So could we get by with half the amount of yard sales if property is half the price, right? If the living cost is less. And so, I mean, I don't know if California is going to be a forever thing for me, especially because if you were able to buy a house 10 years ago, 15 years ago in California, you might be fine. We had friends of ours that recently said, I think it was pretty profound. They said, we can afford to live in California. We can afford to live in San Diego. They were lucky enough to be able to get a house at a good price when the market was good. They said, but I don't know if my kids...
I'm not laughing at you, sorry.
I don't know if my kids will be able to. And I think that's an important thing to think about, right? Like, just because you've got a house somewhere and you were able to afford it, if it's not somewhere you think your kids can afford, that's rough.
I needed to address this comment here. Orlando wants a big kitchen in his new house to put more inventory in his cabinets.
Yeah.
Facts. But I will tell you, my next goal this Q4 is to move all that stuff out. I'm getting pretty close to having all inventory out of my kitchen. I'm getting there. So, all right. Hey, thank you so much, Emily McLean, for the super chat. $4 says Orlando's like listening to myself squirrel. So does that mean that I get distracted easily?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
But that's okay, because look here, we've got the Nashville Flippers called you out because they heard your phone ringing and said maybe your lady friend is calling.
If only I could be so lucky. So hey, by the way, so that's the end game right now is that there is no end game yet. So I'm just scaling and scaling and scaling, and hopefully I'll be at a place where I can have more options. The next step in my scaling is to be on a larger property, but we'll just see how things go. I'm okay with my condo right now. I'm running pretty lean. I got a great rate, and so we'll see what happens. So yeah, see, I'm not alone. Clay's Closet says I can use my kitchen. I use my kitchen cabinets for fancy and top selling shoes. There you go.
Imagine that somebody comes to your house and they're like, can I get some water? Like, yeah, just grab it. And they open up the cabinet and there's just shoes in there.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's a winner if you're ever trying to impress someone and I open the cabinet and there's a Mickey Mouse on a tractor figurine just hanging out, and then next to it you have some golf balls and then you have some random bookend. I don't think it's a win. So that's just me. All right, hey, one last thing. We are chatting it up today. So random story. So I am right now, this isn't random, but I am just blocking lowballers. I used to block people that, when they pay on time. I used to block people that were mean. I'm just blocking everyone. I am so done. And here's the other thing I've actually been thinking about too is you don't want people to have access to your store that are just trying to lowball you. And what I mean is we've talked about sell-through rate as being a key component in the algorithm. And somebody did message us the other day on Facebook and was saying, hey, you guys talk too much about the algorithm. Listen, I don't think we talk enough. I know we're all speculating, but I'm telling you the algorithm is real. It's been discussed by eBay multiple times. We've actually done some run-throughs anecdotally, and we've found evidence that, hey, if you accept offers, if you run sales, if you ship stuff out, all those play a part. And so for me, it's you don't want a bunch of people to view your items. This is why one of the reasons we don't share our stores publicly. Now we do when we're on the eBay for Business podcast. Or basically we have no option. We have to share what our stores are, but we don't have to share all of our stores if we have multiple stores. But one of the reasons I strongly encourage you guys that are on social media not to share your stores if you end up getting a larger following is that the more views you get on an item and the more watchers, but there is no sale that happens, those items begin to drag your store down. They become stale faster, right? So you might have an item that has 100 views. For instance, I have some items that have all kinds of views and all kinds of watchers. I know either those are competitors. I know those are just, looky-loos, just trying to see what it's going to go for. There are probably some that follow us on Instagram, just seeing, hey, is Orlando completely wrong on what he estimated about this? Whatever it is, be careful about that because the more views you have on there and stuff doesn't sell, the more it's going to hurt your sales traffic. So just be aware of that. So, yeah, somebody said Ken Daigle actually, yeah, great point. He said it succinctly in one sentence comparison to Orlando's multiple. I know a little bit more down, say active and simple. And he said, plenty traffic, but no conversions is bad. And that is correct. Yep. So, all right. So that is the random stories for the moment.
Yeah. And I've got one item that I think just ended and did not sell. So
we're anti-auction.
Just giving you guys an update on my, and again, I've listed 5. Can you imagine if a new reseller came to you and said, hey, I've got 5 items on my eBay store, nothing sold.
I'm going to talk about that in a moment.
Right. But you would say you got to list more, right?
Oh, 100%.
So, you can't do an auction experiment like we tried is not going to work perfectly, is expecting them all to sell. Now, if I listed it for 99 cents, I'm sure it would have sold. But we'll relist it and we'll go again and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll drop the price a little bit.
Hey, Melissa O brings upon us a great point. Why did I say upon us? What is this medieval? There's a
upon us, Melissa.
There's a TikTok meme that whenever people use old language, they end up having medieval scenes in the background, the medieval music playing. That's what I feel should have just happened.
We should have a whole episode where we're just talking Shakespearean English.
So Melissa O has inquired of us and said, I feel like I have to counter offer all offers. I only block non-players and idiots. So I wish there was a drop-down menu why you're blocking people and you could just choose idiots or non-payer. Or the worst I'm getting is I'm getting the $3 offers with free shipping. Seriously, why bother? And so I instantly blocked them. All right, are we ready for?
Guys, it's that time of the episode where news is breaking and things are coming in. They're hitting us hard and fast. The reselling world is changing around us. Can we keep up? I don't know. Out on the streets is Orlando.
You know, one day I want to have like a fan blowing, right? So it looks like it's really, really windy, like it's a
Have
storm
some,
approaching.
storm stuff in.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that'd be funny, but who knows? Hey, my Funyun story at least made it. So, all right. So, first thing I want to talk about. So, you heard me talk about this on Instagram, and I'm going to share this some more this next week. But you said you'd like the UPS. Why'd you like UPS since it's been on eBay now?
I mean, it's been great. The amount of money that we've saved through UPS, their discount has been incredible. Like, in fact, one item just recently sold. It was a like a knee brace that I'm able to stick in a flat rate, padded type thing. But instead of doing the flat rate, I did, it would have been first class. It was not first class, like under a pound, but like it would have been like easy to ship because it was just in like a poly bag. And looking at the USPS rate was actually significantly higher than UPS. The UPS rate was like $2 cheaper. So instead of it being like $8.90 something, it was like $6 something that's shipped through UPS, right? So having that as an option and being able to save that kind of money now that UPS has got a discount, which is great because, I mean, for a while, my wife worked at a place that had the ability to sell or to ship, through the work discount through UPS. And the discount was incredible. Like you could ship things for like a fraction of the price. And I feel like eBay's discount is pretty close to that.
So I'm going to counter all that.
All right.
But before I do that, hey, thank you so much, Santiago De La Rosa. $20 super chat just because. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And by the way, appreciate all the donations that have been coming in. We're going to share a little bit more in future episodes. But right now we're in kind of transitional phase with PRS Podcast because of, Anchor and Spotify and other of our sponsors haven't been sponsoring us lately. So we are working for free, for reals, for free, which is, I mean, there's a benefit to that, and we've always said our content will be free, but it's been interesting lately. So thank you so much. Every super chat is helping us so much. So, all right. Hey, McDonald's Millionaire says, how is the shipping time? So let me just throw that up real quick. And then let me address here. So I talked about this. So UPS is great. I am grateful. And thank you, Rhea, for bringing that up. I am grateful that UPS is on eBay. I think it's a great thing. I think it just creates more competition. Maybe it'll cause FedEx to, improve some things. It'll cause the USPS definitely to improve. It's funny. I was telling the same person when in that discussion about the first class package, the mail lady, I was telling her how there's actually a sign that goes up when we want to ship that says, we encourage you to use other carriers due to USPS delays. And she was like, what? Are you serious? I feel really bad. Like, I guess they don't know about that. And so it went around the whole post office like, hey, by the way, did you hear this? Da-da-da. And like, tell us what you just told us. I'm like, oh no, what did I start here? But it's true. But here's the thing. FedEx is actually cheaper. And it's cheaper. And I think it's a better option. This is my opinion. You can, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but this is why. So I'm pulling up the screen right now, right? So I just sold this big mixer. And it was a larger item. And I had the UPS ground option put on there. If I sent it UPS ground, it tells me on eBay you save 36%. But if I do, so this is UPS ground. If I do FedEx home delivery, I save 44%. So if I sent it, and I have the dimension there, but that doesn't matter too much right now. If I sent it UPS ground, it would cost me $18.24. If I sent it FedEx, it would cost me $18.05. And here's the other difference. FedEx home delivery is almost like priority. It's 4 days. Sometimes it's been sooner. UPS ground is about a week. Okay, it depends what part of the country. Then on top of that, right now, if you do UPS ground on eBay, you don't have the option to put insurance on an item over $100. So UPS covers you up to $100, and after that, you have to like declare value. And you have to go through UPS Capital and so on. eBay doesn't even have any of those options. There is no option for insurance right now with UPS ground. But if I go to FedEx, I have the option to put insurance on it, and I've used insurance, and they're pretty good about getting back to you. So for me right now, I am still team FedEx because I wanted to use UPS. I kept going, hey, this is awesome. We have UPS. They said they negotiated a great rate, but I'm still finding that FedEx is the better option. It's cheaper, it's faster, and you can insure it. Now, there's a catch to all this, because usually when I talk about this, oh, thank you so much, Kelly Hertz. She says, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the great info. $10 super chat. Wow, you guys have been just incredible today.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you guys so much.
So I am just shocked at the super chat. So thank you, Kelly. So usually people will message me and they'll say, hey, Orlando, but FedEx, like they do some crazy stuff. They end up charging you later on, because with FedEx and UPS, you don't get charged until the invoice at the end of the month. So some people have said, hey, I sent something to FedEx. The eBay label said it was only going to cost this much. I ended up paying twice as much or 3 times as much. And I always was like, how does that happen? Because it's never happened to me. So this is why. And thankfully, some people have DM'd me and told me. So when I made a story about a smaller item earlier on, they said, hey, you should do box in a bag. And box in the bag is great with USPS Priority, with Pirate Ship. And I'll talk about that in a little bit here, because that's on our next reseller topic. But if it's something that you can't do that with, everyone who's been overcharged that has DM'd us has said, Orlando, we figured out why we were being overcharged. It's because we were not sending things in a box via FedEx. So what happens, I guess FedEx, like, it's pretty subjective if you're sending in like a box in a bag, or it's not a very defined kind of object. And so the measurements could differ based on what you put and what FedEx ends up measuring. That's why I always strongly recommend, especially with FedEx and UPS, like you said, it was 10 inches and they charge you 11 inches. I overestimate always, at least at the lowest 1 inch, usually 2 inches. And by weight, I always overestimate by 2 pounds.
2 pounds. Now, here's the question with that. So you're saying,
unless it's going to cost me a lot.
So if you're overestimating an inch, if you're overestimating an inch in every direction, that makes a significant volume difference.
Yeah, I know. But you got to make, now if it's going to end up being like $10 more, then obviously you want to make the call and say, you know what, I'm going to make this as accurate as possible. But if it's only going to be like 30 cents or 40 cents more, I'd rather play it safe than later on I get this bigger invoice.
But how much,
but what I expect.
But would the invoice be like 30 cents more?
It depends. It depends what kind of item you're sending. So sometimes I'll send like a Frankenbox, right? And it depends, who knows that Frankenbox, another box gets on top of it. It ends up, getting squashed. And so the corners come out more, or whatever happens. Like, always overestimate. I'd rather be charged, I'd rather pay more up front than pay way more later on.
So what I'm hearing from you though is, if you overestimate so that you don't get charged later on, that if you get charged later on, like let's say I said it was 10-inch length and they end up measuring 11, are they going to charge me an additional fee for underestimating, or are they going to charge me what I would have paid if I overestimated to 11?
They're not going to charge you more for overestimating.
No, the point I'm trying to make though, so let's just say, just for simplicity, it's going to cost me $10 to ship this item. If I overestimate, it's going to cost me $10.50. Okay. So I send it what I think it is exactly, and I don't overestimate, and I send it to them. And after they end up measuring it, and they're like, it's actually 50 cents more. I'm not paying way more later. I'm paying the same amount I would have paid. So if you're overestimate on every box, then you're in the long run, you're guaranteeing that you're paying more, as opposed to if you measure it exactly right and they charge you the difference every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
But it's the deal is with dimensional weight, right? So if you're off by a few inches, or for a reason they measure it different, like you said with volume, it can make a huge difference. Like there's some things, even with USPS, there are some items that, like, if you go an inch more, it's like a $20 difference, right? That's where you want to be careful.
But that's what I'm saying. If you overestimate when you send it, you're going to be paying that $20 difference.
Yeah. I mean, you could, but what I'm telling you is, listen, always overestimate. You just don't want surprises. I'll just leave it at that.
But I still don't see how the numbers add up there. Like if you overestimate on everything and you're paying for potentially for volume you don't need, as opposed to maybe 1 in 10 items that you send out, you underestimate it and they charge you the volume that you would have overestimated too. Like, you're paying more in the long run.
I get what you're saying. Like, but for me, I'd rather lose $30 over a year, because I don't send FedEx all the time. Usually it's like post office. Now, if I was a big guru and I was doing like $1 million business, then I'd go, hey, let's get this exactly perfect, right? And usually with replenishables, you do that. But when it's a Frankenbox or anything, it's always best to have that cushion on there. So let me see. I think somebody may be answering this better than I can. Clay's Closet said, for almost all my hard goods, I pack as I list, and when I don't, I put plenty of space on the measurements so I can go pack back and correct the numbers. Okay, that's good. That's another way to handle it. I think Ken Dago just said always use a cushion in case. Carlos S says just round up. So I hear what you're saying.
And I get the idea, like, and again, like we were rounding up, but I'm just saying, like, if the fear is if you don't round up, that you're going to have to pay for the difference every once in a while, as opposed to if I do exact. And I mean, I'm just thinking like the numbers don't make sense to me on that. Like if over every so often I get a bill from FedEx saying you underestimated and you owe us $20, as opposed to if I overestimate every box that I send and I pay an extra $30 that month in shipments because I overestimated everything.
But that's worst case scenario.
No, it's not worst case scenario, because you're guaranteeing if you overestimate, you're paying more to ship that than you need to every time. And if you give the exact measurements and every once in a while they charge you more, you're not overpaying on every item. You might have to overpay on one item every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think you're right. I just don't want to waste the time following all that up.
Look, I'm not alone. Oh, thank goodness.
No, I know you're not alone. No, you're very analytical. I get what you're saying. What I'm telling you is with the FedEx stuff, I always overestimate. I could be wrong. When I run $1 million business, I'll probably get down to the cent, but I don't lose that much money. It's kind of like this. So I've shared this before. So to ship out a medium flat rate box, it costs $12.80, right? I charge $11.99. Now I haven't changed that at all, and I know I'm always overpaying for shipping, but for me it's a competitive edge, and I don't care about losing that 80 cents, right? So for me, for this, if I wanted to waste the time and like make sure like everything was perfect and follow up with FedEx, I would. I don't want to spend that time doing that. My time is more valuable, and I'd rather overestimate and lose 30 cents here and there because I'm making a ton of money on the item anyway. So I'm okay with that. So, well, we have teams developing here.
Yeah.
So, okay. Hey, I'm good. You guys know me. I'm willing to be wrong. I completely understand what Mike is saying. I think Mike is right.
Yeah. And again, like even Heather said here, like rounding up to the nearest pound. If you're dealing with pounds, I think that's a smart idea, but I'm just thinking dimensions in a box, because that's really where you're dealing with like volume, the volume of the box. If you do an inch width, an inch height, and an inch depth, like on every single item, that's a significant volume increase.
You made your point. I'm not debating it with you. I understand. I just don't have the time to waste. I just don't want to waste that time. Like if I have 30, 40 packages, I'm just going to boom, 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 put the label, and I'm done. Like I'm not going to look back. So that's just the way I do it. So
your reasoning then is to save time, not because you don't want to be hit with
no, I don't want to be hit. I don't want to be hit. I always overestimate. I rather pay up front than later. Because I know I have people that have shared stories with me where they thought it was going to be like $45 and then ended up being $90. And something happened with dimensions, specifically when it's something that is not a defined box. Whenever it's a Franken box, you run into issues. So anyways, just things to think about. So, all right. Hey, we had a couple super chats. Thank you so much, Christina, for the $5. Really appreciate that. And also McDonald's to Millionaire for the $15. Thanks for saving me in Q4 with the tips and always being real. And that's the thing. I'm real to the point that I don't have a good counter argument to Mike's counter argument. That's how real we are. So Melissa said, sounds lazy. No, hey, I get it. I get it. So, all right. Hey, thank you so much. All right. So moving on with that. By the way, FedEx, we should all be Team FedEx. I'm just saying Team FedEx. So let me see if there's anything else. All right, let's keep moving. So box in a bag. So people have been commenting, like I sent out a huge box and they're like, hey, why don't you put the box in the bag? Because there are some poly mailers that are like 24 inches, right? But you gotta remember that you can only do up to 8 inches per direction on pirate ship. And it can't get more than 20 pounds. So just be aware of that, because if the post office catches that, you're gonna end up paying a lot more later on. Right.
So is it cheap? The idea of a box in a bag, is the bag cheaper than a box?
Correct. So you put the box in a bag. Now, according to pirate ship, it can't look like a box. Like it can't be too tight fitting. That's a box. I think as long as you got some of the edges sticking out. But the problem is that people have been sending those things instead of through USPS, which they're not as stringent as FedEx or UPS, and they've been doing it FedEx or UPS, and then been being charged later on. You get what I'm saying? So just got to be careful about that. Hey, thank you so much, Amy Marnett, for the $5.
Thank you so much.
Super chat.
Honestly, like I don't think you guys realize how big of a deal like the super chats tonight have been to us. Like Orlando and I have been at this place where it's like, man, like doing the podcast, like we're spending a bunch of time here, and losing the sponsors has really took a big hit on us. And so the fact that you guys are showing this much love to us, it reminds us why we're doing what we're doing. And just even those of you who are just commenting in the box, just the community we have here is so great. So thank you guys. We really do have the best listeners and watchers. I guess if you're here on YouTube, you're not just a listener, you're a watcher.
That is true. Hey, Texas Treasures, great point. Texas Treasure says eBay gives big discounts on shipping if you're top rated seller. Okay. So again, people ask us, why should I be a top rated seller? To me, I look at my discounts. I mean, it's huge. I even with FedEx second day, it depends on the item, but sometimes I get up to 70%. Actually, the other day it was cheaper for me to send something FedEx second day than to send it USPS priority. Right. So again, it's about volume too. So I do believe somebody had mentioned that I'm able to get bigger discounts because I sell more. And I think there is some truth to that. I don't know. I haven't seen any policy, but whenever I share this, people are like, hey, I haven't seen that, and I'm a top rated seller. So I don't know. If somebody has the answer, let me know. I really don't know. So let's see here. How Tiffany Sue says, how would I ship a tailgate? I'm mulling it over, but probably still sell it locally.
Yeah, I would probably go local unless I knew for a fact like this tailgate was a very expensive item and it was sought after, and I could get more selling it on eBay or through another platform. But then you'd probably have to look up what is it going to look like to do more of a freight type shipment, as far as are you going to need a pallet for this? Are you going to need to will UPS ship something this big? Or are you going to have to go through a third party company, a different company that'll ship on a big truck? So I would just say it probably depends on your profit margin here. For me personally, I would say if just for the headache of if you're only going to be doing a one-off like big item shipment, I don't know if I'd want to learn everything I had to learn about big freight, right? As far as the pallets and all that stuff, unless there's a lot of money. And I'd say I'd probably just go local, even if I lose a few $100 doing it locally. But if this is like, hey, I might want to sell these types of big items a lot. You would definitely need to like learn about shipping on pallets, shipping through big freight. And Orlando and I have not done that. So,
well, I would say list it on eBay. Just list it on eBay. A tailgate's not too massive that I don't think it's freight or pallet level. It depends on the vehicle, obviously on the dimensions, but you can ship up to 100 pounds or more on UPS. Obviously, go to the UPS, go to FedEx, check out the what limits they have as far as dimensions. And even if you don't want to deal with the packaging, go to UPS and say, hey, what would it cost for you guys to pack this for me? And then just put that in your listing for the handling, and they'll take care of it. So I am, some people are saying local. I'm not a local guy. I'm willing to ship huge items. There's so many more buyers. There's so many more eyes on that item and people are willing to pay more. And so to me, I'm always a big fan of everything. I've done the local game. I mean, you've seen me. I sold a locker the other day locally. Now, if I could get that shipped somehow, I probably would have put it on eBay because I would have gotten more money on it. So it all depends on the time. It all depends what you're willing to do. But you will always get more money on eBay than you would on OfferUp and local for the most part. There are times it's even across the board, and you just got to figure out what it is.
Yeah, you got to also consider fees and shipping, right? So somebody might be willing to pay a certain amount for it, including shipping. And so selling it locally, you might be better off because you can take that little bit of a cut and reach those buyers, and you're getting cash in hand, and you're not paying that 13% fee through eBay, right? So if you're not going to make at least 25 to 30% more, it might be worth it just to go local.
I think that's a good point. I see that. Yana Reseller says, we appreciate you too. You help us tremendously. Thank you for the $2 super chat. And then Frank has a $5 super chat and said, boys, can you break down your listing process for efficiency?
Yeah.
Do you want me to handle this one?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be a little different. So Orlando probably has the better answer. So I'll just quickly go through mine. But
maybe I have one good answer today.
So for me, we like to do a lot of pictures. So we're at a place where we have enough death piles. When we source, we're going to get like, hey, I'm going to get probably 7 to 8 pairs of shoes, several pairs of pants, a couple of hard goods. So I wait until I have a good enough stack. I'm still sourcing. All right, now I've got 10 pairs of shoes. So I'm going to take pictures of all of them, right? So that way I'm done. I've got all the pictures on my phone. I know Orlando lists on the computer. We primarily list on our phones unless I'm doing like a whole bunch at once, then I'll do it on my computer. But then throughout the day, it's like, all right, I'm going to sit down. I've got a little bit of time. My son's taking a nap. I'm going to list 5 items. And then I just go through those pictures. And what I do is I also take a picture of I'll write down notes of anything that I want to include. So if there's a flaw that I want to make sure I mention, sizing, or any specific details that I want to make sure I mention, I write that on a piece of paper. I actually bought like a boogie board for this so that I can like erase it, and it's like a permanent paper pad that I can constantly erase. Nice. I take a picture of that with the pictures, and then as I'm going through, it's like, okay, this has this blemish or this problem. And I just list them on my phone. And then I already know what tote they went into because I marked that on the piece of paper too as I'm taking pictures. Like, okay, this is going in tote T5, right, for this section of the room. So then I can do my custom SKUs as I'm doing the listings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very similar in all of that. I'm a big fan of batching things together. So if it's a bunch of shirts, a bunch of shoes, if it's stereo equipment, if it's, whatever, collectibles, like do it all at the same time. And I'm a huge fan of sell similar. So here's the thing. A lot of people use templates. You can use templates. I like sell similar because it's really easy. I just go to one of the listings. Let's say I'm doing, for the sake of whatever, Skechers shape ups. I already have all the keywords I always use for shape ups. So for instance, when I sell shape ups, one of the keywords is I misspell Skechers on there. Just in case people don't know how to spell Skechers, I put it in there, T-C-H-E-R-S, right? And so that's one of the things I do. So all I have to do is I got to change maybe the color or the model number. I just got to delete the pictures. I put the pictures, and usually my condition is the same. Usually my shipping's the same. And so I always do sell similar. The other thing I would say, before you even get to the listing, make sure you have your shipping policies and your business policies all streamlined. So you already know if I'm selling shoes, like for instance, for me, all my shoes are, I just say medium flat rate and I charge $11.99. Now, I may do that in a bag. I don't say medium flat rate. I just put priority mail $11.99. So if I got to go medium flat rate box, I'll do that. Or if I got to do it in a bag, I'll do that. If I have anything that weighs less than a pound, I already have my first class shipping set up, and how much I don't charge is free shipping. So I have that set up. Sometimes I have certain items where I'm trying to be competitive, and I see that there's half people that ship and they charge and half that are free. For that one, I have my priority mail $9.99 already set up. So have those shipping policies already set up. But the easiest thing to do is sell similar. You can fly through listings. I can probably get done on a good hour. If I'm flying through things and I have a lot of similar items, probably 20 items listed, I'm not even fast. There's people I know that could do a way more in an hour. But make sure it's sell similar. Don't start a listing from scratch. Like that will slow down your process. And the reason I do it on the desktop is there's a lot more options to fix things. Sometimes when you do it on the phone, it doesn't give you all your options on there, and you run into problems and you don't notice them till the item sells. So hopefully that helped. All right, Clay Can, $4.99 super chat. Thanks so much. Says thanks for the super kind and encouraging words in your IG reply to me when I told you all I quit teaching. Oh yeah, no, I. And the thing is, we understand. Like when you have to walk away from the classroom, like we get it. I'm 100% all about education, but there are times when it's time to walk away. So get that. Said literally has helped keep my anxiety down. Yeah, seeing somebody else go through it is definitely a plus. So. Another super chat from all right. Wade K-Way Shop says, wow, appreciate all the hard work the both of you do for this community.
Oh, thank you guys so much. We're so beyond blessed today. I mean, thank you guys so much for just all of the kindness and support here. We really do have the best listeners, watchers
we do,
out there.
100%.
You guys are great. And like, some of you are saying, we provide some good ideas and tips, but I think there have been probably more good ideas just come through the chat and the community and as a whole. We learned so much from you guys, and probably half the stuff that we talk about on the show are things that other people have showed us through, the community. People have called in or reached out to us on Instagram and told us something. So, we really, really appreciate you guys.
Hey, Greg reinforces what I said about Skechers on here. So he says, I do the wrong Sketcher spelling after realizing there are as many sold as the wrong spelling keyword. It's true. It's true. So, hey, going back to
what's that called? Fat Thumbs?
Yeah, there's a Fat Thumbs website. We've talked about that before. Just Google Fat Thumbs and they'll search incorrect spelling. You can put save searches on there too for those.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Texas Treasure says. Easier to do item specifics on the computer. Very true. And actually, I've been trying to fix my required ones. And for a reason, when I do it on my phone, it's been glitchy lately. And here's the other glitch. Have you had this glitch? Whenever you have multiple of an item, like it ends up, let's say you have 5 and you sell one, it should say 4. It'll still say 5. I've had 4 things I've had to message them and say, I don't know how this happened. I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, I have, this is not available. Da, 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 da. So let us know if that's been happening to you. It's been real. I've had Lisa, Kiki's mom, has told me that she's dealt with that a lot, and a few others too. So, by the way, real quick, Wayne Kway Shop. I think you have just as much knowledge about Harley and other stuff as I do. And by the way, a lot of people lately have been calling me the Harley guy. I just know what I know from watching other YouTubers. That's all I'm saying. So
I think, especially with this beard now, he's got to get up, man. Like he.
I got to learn to ride my bike first. I'm working on it.
Yeah, honestly though, a motorcycle in a lot of ways is easier to ride than a bicycle. You just, But I mean, you will want to have the confidence for that. But yeah, that's I could. If you guys think Orlando needs to get a Harley or at least a motorcycle, I mean, if he's going to sell the Harley stuff, you got to at least. But then here's what's going to happen: if he gets a Harley, he's not going to sell any of the Harley stuff that he buys. He's going to become a Harley collector,
and then my business will go under.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, we're all trying to figure out a way to help Orlando out here.
Okay. All right, we got to move on with reseller topic. So, hey, this is a interesting story. Amazon bribery. This is a crazy story. Now, eBay had their crazy story, which I think eBay still wins as the crazy story with like the fake pig's head and everything else. All right. Before we get to that story, though, Melissa O with the super chat, what's going on, plates? If you have no idea what we're talking about, yeah. My husband, I truly appreciate what you bring to every show. Many, many good tips, laughs, and fun banter. We try. Thank you for the hustle.
When we finally get our plates shirt, we'll have to use your name as like the little dash, Melissa.
Okay, we'll share right now because at the end of the episode, what do you usually say when we're
I say peace
and I say lates, so it comes out as plates.
Do you normally is that something you say to people when you're like saying goodbye?
So lates? Growing up on the phone when I was done with people, I'm like, all right, man, catch you later, lates. Like that's just our thing. All right, lates. Like that's just what we did. Maybe it's just a West Coast Bay Area thing. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Let us know. Those of you from the Bay.
What do you say? How do you guys end conversations? Peace.
Goodbye, good sir.
Maybe that's how we'll end this episode. Be real, be relevant, be reselling. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
Good sirs and madams.
All right, let's get to this Amazon bribery story. All right, so 6 people are indicted in an Amazon Marketplace bribery scheme to help third-party sellers. Authorities say they paid to get dangerous products reinstated and post fake negative reviews of competitors' products. It's actually crazier than that. Starting in 2017, the people, including 2 former Amazon employees, paid more than $100,000 to have listings of products and accounts that Amazon had blocked or suspended from its marketplace, which allows third-party sellers to promote and sell their products. The Department of Justice said the former employees also provided internal Amazon information that allowed attacks on other third-party sellers and their accounts, including flooding the seller's product reviews with fake negative reviews, authorities said. The defendants accessed contact information for Amazon employees and customers. Isn't that crazy? Is at the same time that we all have to put our names and addresses at the front of our Amazon stores? Like you can find out, not where I live, but where you can send mail to if you have any mail you want to send us if you could ever find my Amazon store. The defendants access contact information. 3 of the people were based in New York, 1 in Georgia, 1 in Cali, 1 in India. And then I'm going to share another story that goes with this before we get to that super chat on there. It's kind of crazy. According to the Department of Justice, the 6 of them paid a total of more than $100K in bribes to at least 10 Amazon employees in exchange for restoring the banned products, and also included consumer electronic dietary supplements and suspending other accounts. What?
So I mean, everybody's got their own craziness that happens. Some people send pig masks Other people make
That's an
you
eBay
bribe
story.
you, like it's just, it's the mafia part of the business.
Somebody before we get to Greg Stewart says, Rocky Mountain Resellers with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I vote for weekly lives. Thanks for everything. Hey, you never know.
Yeah,
Never know. So it'd be fun. I love having all you guys on here. So here's the crazy thing about this story. So I share with this that you never know what your competition is on any of these platforms, right? Sometimes, especially on Amazon, you'll see people sell stuff at less than cost. Sometimes it's people liquidating, but sometimes you're just dealing with people that have stolen goods. So back in the day when I used to work loss prevention for Target, we had a $1.2 million case. And what ended up happening is every time I wasn't working, my buddy of mine and me and I, when we weren't working, we'd come back the next day and stuff was missing. We're like, what is going on? Well, we found out that it was a massive employee thing that was taking place. And guess where they were selling all these stolen goods? They're selling on eBay and locally through Craigslist. This was back like in the early 2000s. So just be aware. The other thing is, this is why it's good for platforms to have gatekeepers, right? Because we've always said, hey, there shouldn't be like eBay store subscriptions or insertion fees or any of that, or you should have unlimited listings from the beginning on eBay or on Amazon. People should be ungated in everything. I think this lends to a strong argument that why you don't want all those things all the time. Now, I still am opposed to insertion fees. I think if you pay a store subscription, you shouldn't have to pay to list. I think eBay is the last holdout when it comes to insertion fees. But I think for the reasons of making sure you have good products, you don't have shady people on the platforms, there needs to be gatekeepers, or you have scenarios like this is wild. Like this isn't like, somebody shilling on eBay and bidding up an item with a friend. This is major crimes that are being committed. So anyways, it's a crazy story. Yeah. Giannis Reseller says, what, suspending others' accounts? That's what the news story says, that they're trying to take out their competition, right? And a lot of this, I think, was private label too. You see this happen all the time. So, all right, somebody had a question. Texas Treasures has a question, says, all of your reseller interviews, which one do you consider? Oh, I was
gonna say, man, you started reading that. I didn't know you wanted to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but you went for it, man.
So we're gonna say they're all good.
Yeah, no, I can't even say a best because each one has taught me so much. I mean, I think that's the beauty of the interviews we've done. I mean, we have people who like focus on auctions. We have people who focus on storage auctions. We've had people who travel and resell, people who have brick and mortar stores, people who are stay-at-home moms trying to sell, people who are, do real estate stuff. I mean, we've touched so many different things, and I think from each one, like I take like a couple of things, like wow, like I really want to implement that, or that's such a good idea. So they've all been good, but I want to know from you guys, which ones do you think were the best?
Oh, I already see some names dropping on there. So yeah, no, there's everybody we bring on has been a strategic person. Like I bring in people because some people are good with numbers, some people are good about inspiring others, some people are good about FBA, some are good about retail arbitrage. My goal is when I contact people is I don't want to have the same kind of resellers on the podcast all the time, or I sometimes try to reach out to people that haven't done an interview, right? But here's the thing, they need to have some kind of social media presence so we can at least validate that something's happening. You know what I mean? Because it's really tough, right? If, some of the comments on there, I'm not even gonna say anything, but yeah, sometimes people hit us, we get hit up all the time about like, hey, I've been reselling for so long, but it's really hard because I believe 90%, but there's always the few percent that are just trying to get on the podcast because they want to sell a course, which there's nothing wrong with selling a course. If you can make it happen and it's legit, do it. But we want to be here about sharing information, not just trying to sell a product. And so that is our goal, and that's why our podcast is free. All right, I'm gonna fly through these next two reseller topics. So, by the way, Amazon inventory fees, storage fees are going up. If you're sending stuff FBA, just be careful because, well, I know, but it is a big deal because in October, like it jumps from 75 cents per cubic foot for standard size to $2.40 per cubic foot. That's more than triple. And there was one year where I spent thousands of dollars. So this year, I am holding off on sending a lot of my inventory. I'm just doing it merchant fulfilled until I finally decide to send stuff in, which I probably am going to start sending stuff in second or third week of October and filling up the warehouse because I'm expecting all that stuff to sell as soon as I send it in. And the other thing, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but lately, like the name resellers is kind of fading away and it's being replaced by scalpers and price gougers. Like we know the price gouger scenario because of the pandemic, but scalpers?
One that's a hard thing too is reseller is such a broad category. That's like saying, what do you do for a living? Like, well, I'm in the market. I'm part of capitalism,
sell online.
right? Like it's such a broad thing because the reality is resellers, there's so many elements of reselling, right? There are people who are more of the scalping side and I'm not really a huge fan of the idea of price gouging because we've talked about what the free market is and is there really such a thing as that and how the markets correct themselves. But there are people who would be considered resellers. We just talked about like there's some people who scam, right? Who they create ads for things they don't really have, or they're going and they're doing like there are different types, and some are more seen as like a positive thing, and some are seen as a negative thing, and so it's hard to lump all resellers together like that because not every reseller is the same. The person who's going and finding used vintage items at a thrift store and then finding new homes for them and things that could have been just trash, and they're helping them find and be recycled, upcycling, right? Like that's a very different than somebody who's, doing something else. So it's sad that there's this negative stigma to reselling because, everybody has a different style of reselling and all reselling isn't the same. And so it's a bummer that there is a negative stigma to it, but there really is.
I like Clay's Closet. That is a true capitalist statement right there. Call me whatever you want. I bought tickets from scalpers. Where'd it go? There it goes. I bought tickets from scalpers and they provided a service. And I'm not going to bash them. And it's true. It's true. I mean, I remember buying WWF tickets from a scalper. I was able to get seats with my brother front row, right? To I think we watched, I don't know, was it the Rockers and Legion of Doom? I mean, this is back in the day. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think what's happening is we're in a culture shift in our country, and I think part of the rationale is that all these companies are trying to pinpoint the fact that they don't provide enough supplies, that they're not better handling their inventory on resellers, right? This is why you see the signs at Target. This is why even right now with the PS5, it's sold out, and a lot of people are really mad. But it's like, well, actually, Sony put out messages that they may be selling it today. Xbox is doing the same, right? And there's actually, I think it was Nivea game card. I forget what it's called. Maybe I got the wrong name, but that one, like they sold out, and these are $1,000 items. And so I think it's, part of it is understanding that every business does this. Yep. When you go to Walmart, you are paying 10 times what Walmart ended up buying something, and they're reselling it to you. Target does the same. Macy's, Nordstrom. It's business. Yeah. Buy low and sell high. People have to be profitable, right? Yeah. And so one of the best counter arguments is understanding that every business does this. I mean, you go to the mechanic could charge you less, but their time is valuable, right? And so they charge you for that time. And even auto parts, like you can go directly through wholesalers, or you can pay from your local O'Reilly or whatever, and you're going to be paying more because this is how all businesses run.
Yeah, and specifically when it comes to resellers, and when you talk about like retail arbitrage, which is where I think most of the negative stigma comes from, is the reality that people doing retail arbitrage, people scalping, or whatever other type of thing that people might look at negatively, is these are people who are helping to fix the market, imbalances in the market, because a place like Walmart doesn't have time to figure out what every item is actually worth. Right? Like they are already trying to figure out what's the most we can make for this item. And like, they can't figure out exactly like, hey, this brand of noodles is got a shortage and the demand is really high for them, and we don't have enough of them. So we need to raise our prices to ensure that, like, because if you know basic economics, it's always supply and demand, and where those two cross is the right price, right? If there's too much supply and not enough demand, the price comes, like that's just how basic economics work. And when there's an imbalance, it's always going to be that way, no matter, even if we've just got a trade system, right? If there's too much of one thing and not enough supply, the price goes down. But if you're still trying to sell it at a certain price it's not going to happen. That's why stores have to clearance, right? That's their way of trying to fix the market. Well, the opposite of clearance is a reseller coming in and fixing the market. Hey, you've got this listed too low. There's way too much demand for this. I'm going to make a profit off of that, and I'm going to provide people the service they need. And that's just part of the way it works.
Yeah. So, hey, and some people are saying I call myself a liquidator. Some people are, somebody said they're a rum drinking pirate scallywag who finds lost treasure. Thank you, Moonlight Moolah. That was a good one. So yeah, in the end, we're not doing anything different. I think, again, we just got to be clear with people. I mean, and again, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't let it bother me. I mean, it is what it is. I will say, be careful. Like right now, somebody had mentioned that people with PS5s that are reselling, that they're getting 1-star reviews, and you just got to be careful, because there's certain items that people are more willing, right, to bash things about. If you find an item that somebody's been looking for a long time, they're going to pay up. They don't care. But it's something that's in limited release, and the only way that you can get it is if you have a bot, then you're going to put yourself in an interesting scenario, and you just got to be willing to deal with the hits that come with
maybe
it.
have a second eBay account.
Or yeah, you could do that too.
It's price discovery.
There you go.
That's genius, right? Because it's not price gouging. It's just, no, that's just not the right price for it. Because nobody's going to pay more for it than it's worth, right? So
another super chat and a question with it. Do you create sales goals and reach them? And what do you do after you reach them? And thank you for the $5, Frank.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm really big on setting goals and reflecting. It's like a constant weekly, bi-weekly process that I do. And so it's not, the reflections aren't always reselling related. I don't do like weekly reselling reflections. It's more maybe quarterly, maybe more often than that. But yeah, so we have a certain amount that my wife and I say we need to make X amount of money per month or X amount per quarter in order to make this feasible, make this work. And if we see that we're getting close to that, but not making it, then we adjust our tactics. We pivot where we need to pivot. And if we're making way more than that, then we say, all right, what can we do to now capitalize on this? All right, do we want to invest more into more inventory, or do we want to take some of that and put it into IRA, stock market, other forms of investment, going back to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Richest Man in Babylon, and just buying assets with money. And so if you're constantly reaching sales goals, maybe your goals are too low. And if you're never reaching them, maybe it's not that the goal's too high, but maybe the tactics you're using, the strategies you're using aren't the right ones. And that's a red flag that you need to adjust.
Yeah. And so I have, as a full-time seller, I have my daily goals of the kind of dollar sales I need to have, but they're not goals. They're more like, hey, these are benchmarks, so I know where I'm at. And then at the end of each 2-week period, I need a certain number to be there. And if I hit that number and I have extra money, what I'm doing with that extra money, I'm putting it into another stream. So lately I've been throwing stuff into the stock market just because it's been great for me so far. I mean, I took a major dip a couple weeks ago with Tesla, but so I've Rich Dad Poor Dad had a major impact on me. And so I do have savings, which is money that I won't touch at all for any reason. But anything extra, I'm putting into other investments, whether I'm buying more for eBay or I'm putting into the stock market or other, businesses that I can slowly start. The other thing is I have a yearly goal. So I have a yearly goal for eBay, and then I reflect at the end of the year and go, okay, how did I get to this goal? Was it because of garage sales? Was it because of bulk buys? Was it because of, I ran my store different? Was I more fast nickel? And I reflect and go, how can I get that 10% higher the next year? With Amazon, so Amazon, I literally could stop doing Amazon and I'd be okay. I could pay the bills. I could take care of everything. So with Amazon, I start looking, okay, how can I build so I have a certain number, and the number's been getting up every year. But how can, it's funny with the Amazon, my goal is not to lose money on Amazon. And I know that sounds terrible, but my experience with Amazon is I'll share this in our future episode that drops on Wednesday, is I have a tendency on Amazon to throw a lot of money into Amazon and lose a lot of money because I think I'm going to make a lot of money. And so each year I try to find ways how not to lose money so I keep a greater profit to myself. So I don't know if that completely answered the question, but there you go.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
I have one more and then we're done with the reseller topics. Hey, by the way, all the data. Here's a news story from the Financial Times. Christmas set to come early for U.S. shoppers as COVID-19 forces rethink. all the data is saying people are going to start buying earlier and earlier. So what does this mean? If you're thinking of ramping up in October, ramp up now, whether it's eBay, whether it's whatever platform. With Amazon, it's very possible that with Prime Day, I think Prime Day has been announced since October, I think October 5th. So think about it. You have Prime Day and you have Q4. Like, now is the time to ramp. Don't wait. Don't think. Now, I'm not saying send stuff in. Like, I'm still holding out for merchant fulfilled, but be aware that you may be losing a lot of money by waiting until November to ramp things up when you should be ramping up things now, because all the data is saying that is the case. Yeah. And that is our reseller topics.
Yeah.
All right, so we got another segment.
Yeah, this is an epic episode.
Marathon podcast.
But now it's time for
some technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's how fresh we are. We're so fresh.
We're not alive. I'm just gonna do it. Bolo.
We'll do the old one. See if
Bolo. Yeah. So our new sound just didn't want to show up.
I guess. What can you do, right?
So, all right. So, what's your Bolo?
So update on the sell that I had through auction. Only one of the 5 items sold, but hey, 20%. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
You know, and part of it again is going to have something to do with the items you list. But so one of the 5 items sold, and it was a cassette like deck player, right? It's like, imagine like a CD player or like an amp of some kind that someone would use with a stereo set. So this is the tape part of that, and it was a Japanese brand. And one of the things, like, we've talked a lot about VCRs on this show, we've talked tons about VCRs in the podcast, and one of the reasons is because people aren't making VCR players anymore, right? Because there's no demand for it. So if you've got a stack of VHS, you know, stuff and maybe home videos, and your VCR goes out, well, where are you going to go? You can't go to Walmart, you can't go to Target, you can't just buy a VCR, so you got to go to eBay. I think the same thing is true with tapes. I think we overlook tapes. And I think now, even looking through like TikTok and seeing like how so much like vintage stuff is coming back, in the sense of like parents trying to check with their kids, like, hey, do you know what this is? And I saw one where like a kid couldn't figure out how to open up a cassette, like a cassette tape, the case, right? And they're like, what is this? And like the kid had no idea. I don't know what it is. What is it? And they couldn't figure out how to open it, pulled it out, was holding the tape and had no idea what it was, right? And I think there's going to be or people who are looking and trying to tell their kids, and like, yeah, I've got the old Metallica cassette, listen to this, and they're going to want tape players, right? So, you know, we've talked about Walkmans and things like that, but if somebody's got a home entertainment center and they've got their record player and they've got their, you know, their FM tuner and everything, maybe they want a tape player too. So it's just a Bolo in the sense of it's just like VCRs because they're not being made anymore. And so if you can get your hands on them, and again, not all of them are equal. Some of them are just junk. People know they're junk. They don't hold up. So if you got a 25-year-old Walmart brand, you know, tape player, it's probably not going to sell because it probably didn't hold up. Will they?
They will sell. I mean, especially if it's new in package, they'll still sell.
Oh yeah, if it's new, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and here's the thing. I've shared this before. Don't be afraid to sell for parts. Don't be afraid. There's still money. I mean, I shared this as my hustle. Was it a hustle of the week? I don't know, but I had sold a old 80s tape player that didn't work, but I listed it like it's as if it was working, and it sold for $85 plus shipping. So yeah, I agree. That's great Bolo, because sometimes you'll pass it up. I mean, a lot of people are becoming more knowledgeable. Did you know that vinyl outpaced CDs this year?
That makes sense.
And so, you know,
buy CDs anymore.
And vinyl has been hot for like the last 5 years. So yeah, the thing is, I don't want to spend the time to learn them, but if it's something you're passionate about, definitely a Bolo for you. So
yeah, Mary McQueen's got her, she's got a Metallica cassette. I love it.
You know, when I think of Metallica, I think about Wisconsin. No offense to anybody in Wisconsin, but man, Metallica was like the thing that was played at every single bowling alley every time I went bowling.
I think that's Metallica is one of those bands, and I could be wrong. Maybe I'm totally off on this, but I found, you know, because I was totally into Metallica when I was like junior high, and I found that it didn't matter whether you were country or you were into rap or pop or rock. It didn't matter what you were into. It was like, yeah, I'm really into this. And then, but you ask them about Metallica. I love Metallica, right? Like Metallica, everybody loves Metallica.
They're still wearing mullets too in the year 2000. It was interesting. So, Clay's Closet. I want to bring this up. So this isn't my Bolo, but I think this is good. It says he has 2 vacuums. I got to figure out how to take apart and sell the parts. Great point. So, if you watched our video when I was in Colorado and I passed on an ab circle, and actually I just recently picked up an ab circle at a garage sale. So I was gonna go take pictures, and it's funny because some people had DM me like, "Hi, it's gonna be hilarious when you try to ship that." Well, unfortunately, you're not gonna see me ship it, and this is why. I took it home. I was about to take pictures, and I look under, and there are spider eggs all throughout the bottom, and I'm like, "Thank goodness this is not in my place." Like I brought it in from my storage unit, so I looked it up, and there was like you could sell the bars for like $25. You could sell like the there's like different pieces. So I'm still gonna make $50-$60 net profit on that workout machine. So think bigger, right? Think when it comes to workout devices, coffee machines, all those. Think about selling those parts. Sometimes it's not worth it. Like I sometimes I'll find like a Starbucks barista machine. I don't want to hassle with taking it apart and making more money on it. I just want to sell it one time, ship it one time. My time is too valuable to waste taking apart certain items. But there's certain things that are easier to take apart, which it may be worth your time. Yes, Blackberry tea. It was gross and it was scary. Like I think they were like brown spiders too. So yeah, not a good scenario. Those of you that know about spiders. All right, I cheated on this Bolo. I'm taking somebody who listens to us as Bolo. So, and it's like a hustle of the week. So it's all that combined. So Alex, flip for more. And I'm wondering, I was thinking if they're hustle of the week in the future episode, they're not. But Alex flip for more. So he came across a huge amount of, not a huge amount, but a bunch of pieces of San Francisco Music Box Company. Like there are music boxes, but they're figurines and they're Phantom of the Opera. Melissa O says, not the brown spiders. True. I think brown spiders are bad, not like Black Widow, but they're not good. So Alex found all these Phantom of the Opera figurines from the San Francisco Music Box Company. Now, I grew up in San Francisco, and one of the best gifts to give people, whether it was your mom or your girlfriend, was something from that store. Now, those stores don't exist anymore. So you can find them online, but there's a lot of pieces that are discontinued that sell for good money. So he bought a few of them that sold for over $100, and he only paid $5 to $10, maybe paid up on some of them. But if you see anything that's San Francisco Music Box Company, look it up, because a lot of those pieces are discontinued, and the fact that they don't have retail stores, they're hard to get. And I have some of them from back in the day, and I'm actually going to send one in and get it fixed possibly and try to flip it, because I know it's money. It's an older one that says I left my heart in San Francisco, and it plays it and has like the Golden Gate Bridge. It's really nice. So it's worth me investing the $30 to $50 to get it fixed and then flip it for over $100, maybe $200. So keep an eye. San Francisco Music Box Company. Thank you, Alex, for sharing your technically hustle of the week, but allowing me to share it as a Bolo.
Yeah. Cheated over there,
but I thought it was valuable, so I thought, why not? So, all right, what are you looking forward to here?
Oh man, this is a question I should be prepared for every episode, and I'm not.
You want me to go first? What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to be doing more merchant fulfilled or fulfilled by merchant or seller fulfilled. I'm really digging it right now. I think as a result of COVID, there's a lot more people willing to do that, and this is why. So the other day, I ordered for my son for the Nintendo Switch Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is great. It has Mario Galaxy, it has Mario N64, it has Mario Sunshine, which, by the way, Mario Sunshine, that's a Bolo. If you can find that for GameCube, it still sells for good money. So I order this, right? Usually when you do a pre-order, it gets there the day of the pre-order. Nope. I got a message that this shipment's going to be late and it's not going to show up. It's supposed to show up on Friday. It's not going to show up till Sunday, but then it said something like it's not going to get here till Wednesday. And I'm like, what? No. And so what did I do? I went to Target. It was in stock. I bought it at Target, and I canceled my Amazon order. Actually, Target, I should have said the retail store that shall not be named. So my apologies. If you've caught our last episode, you know what I'm talking about. So here's the deal. I think merchant fulfilled is going to be on a far larger level than it's ever been before. That's why I'm encouraging you to do it, Mike, because I think there's going to be a ton of money on MF. So I'm going to be doing more of that. I'm working to get my eBay numbers up to 2,500. And then I'm trying to decide when I'm going to send my FBA stuff in. 2 years ago, I lost thousands of dollars because I had stuff sitting in the warehouse and they really didn't sell until mid-November. Last year, I didn't send in a ton of stuff and I saved a lot of money, but then I have some regrets. I don't feel like I went all in into Q4. Like I made good money, but I don't feel like I made as much money as I could have made. So this year, I'm just trying to find that happy balance. So I don't know. I'm going to be doing a lot of merchant fulfilled, working on eBay. And then, we'll see how things go. So that's kind of, I know how many updates can you have a reseller? I'm not sure, right? New things, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything special for what I'm looking forward to other than, just grinding. Sometimes that's okay. Just grinding it out and constantly getting better and buying more stuff and listing more stuff and making more money.
I think about it, guys. We are so close to Q4, right? And if sales are anywhere near they were during the pandemic and higher, which everything I've read, everything I've seen says that this is going to be the best Q4 we've possibly ever had. There's no time to slow down. I say work until you can't anymore till the second week of December and then have a nice vacation. So, and we'll talk about that in our upcoming theme episode. Hey, thank you all for joining us here on the live. We had guaranteed at least 50 viewers the entire time and more. People dropped in and out. So it was a good amount. So especially on a Sunday afternoon, we thank you. And all of you that are listening to the podcast, the thousands of you that have been tuning in on podcasts, we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the super chats. Oh man, we are just beyond blessed. So appreciate all of you. And with that being said, hey, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Later.